Becoming, and you're watching B Chat. And we are continuing our discussion from part 1 of Dating with a Purpose. And the first video we talked about knowing who you are and whose you are, and why that's so important when it comes to dating with a purpose. If you haven't watched that video, feel free to watch it now before this one, or you can watch it at the end of this video. But in this video, our topic will be on how to know God's best for you. So I sat down with blogger Kim McCauley, the creator of the blog Single in Christ. Kim mentioned that she had a list she created that she used for when she went on a first date with a guy. Let's take a listen.
I had to, I took some time and I was like, okay, God, what do you really want me to do? How can I do this? What's the way? Your way, really.
Right.
And so I read books and I read other people's stuff. And then I started trying to emulate their story stuff.
Yes.
That didn't work.
I've
that
done
didn't work
too.
at all. And I had a list of 75 things
Yeah.
that I wanted, and God really dealt with me about that.
Yeah.
And so I got that down to 10 things.
Right.
I got a first date list.
Okay.
So if you meet the qualifications for my first date list, then you can go out. We can go out on a date, and then the other stuff will come over time, getting to know you, getting to know your fruit, getting to know if you really are who you say you are. Things like that will come over time.
Yeah.
And so I think that's being more relaxed and being more free has really helped me be more.
Yeah.
At least get a second date.
Right, exactly. So I asked Kim, why a first date list? And she mentioned that she felt she was disqualifying men before she even went out on a date with them. And that she needed to just go out with them, get to know them as a friend, and then see if it could become something more. But the first date list would help her determine if it's even someone she should continue to go out with. So one of the things that was on her list is that he must be a Christian. And as Christians, I believe that that is so important. It's number 1 on my list as well. And another thing on her list was that it would be nice if he had a job. Now, she would be understanding if he was in between jobs. She would be lenient on that. So I think this is the thing. You have to know what are your deal breakers and what things that you'll be able to kind of work with. The main thing is being confident about your list and knowing that that's important to you. Knowing what things that you won't sway from or compromise on. So as far as my list, one thing that I mentioned earlier is that he must be a Christian. Because how do I expect someone to lead our family in God if he doesn't look to God as our source in directing our lives and directing our path? In addition to that, I desire a man who is kind and who is respectful to people. Ultimately, that is someone of good character. I remember dating someone and he was just so rude to people. And I look at that. How do you treat your friends and family? How do you treat complete strangers? Are you nice to them? Are you kind to them? And I think the more that you are around someone and see them around other people, the more that you'll see their fruit and the more that you'll see their character, which is so important. And I knew I couldn't sway from that. I could not sway from a guy who wasn't respectful to people, because that's going to eventually show me how respectful he will be towards me. Are you a guy who will respect my boundaries? If I tell you the boundaries that I've set, are you someone who will say, oh, it's not that serious, oh, you're doing too much? Or are you someone who will say, I respect that and I will help hold you accountable to those boundaries? I'll make sure that I don't push them. That tells me a lot about a person. And so I think, like I said, ultimately you have to know what you want, and you also have to be confident in the boundaries that you set, because someone that you meet will gladly come in and try to set the boundaries for you if you don't have them set. So the last thing I want to leave with you is that while you're learning who you are and ultimately what you want, it's important to embrace the journey and enjoy the season that you're in. So I remember listening to a message by Holly Furtick, the wife of Pastor Stephen Furtick, and it's called Waiting Room, and it's one of my most favorite sermons to this day. And I listen to it over and over again because it applies to so many different areas of our lives. But it basically talks about the importance of turning our waiting room into a work room, how we have work to do. And when we get to work, we're no longer focused on the stage that we want to be in, where we want to go to next. We're focused on right now. We can turn our attention from what we don't have to what we do have. So I apply that to my dating life, and instead of focusing on, okay, I'm single and I want to be married, I want to date the right person, I can get to work on what God has called me to do right now. And I encourage you to do the same. Build you during this season. Focus on what God has called you to do right now with what you have right now. So I remember talking to a married couple, and they just stressed the importance of, if you're single, enjoying the season of singleness that you're in, because you never get it back. And they enjoy being married. They find so much honor and purpose and joy in it. But once you're married, you never get that season of singleness back. So enjoy it now. There's some things that can be more difficult to do when you get married that you can do right now while you're single. Each season brings so much joy and purpose and meaning, including your current season. I don't want to get so caught up in getting to the future that I miss out on the present. And I think we can often get in a cycle of doing it, trying to fast forward to the next thing and the next thing. And I would hate for us to wake up and realize that we just fast forwarded through our entire life and missed our present. So live in the now. I encourage you to live in the now and focus on all of the great things that God has for you. The preparation stage can seem very disheartening and daunting, but know that there can be a lot of joy in the wait. I hope that this encouraged you to walk out your purpose as you wait for your spouse, and know that God has a plan for you, and it is beautiful. I look forward to seeing you become all that God has created you to be as you date with a purpose. So I would love to hear your comments below on how you're dating, maybe what's working for you, what didn't work for you. I just want to use our comment section to encourage each other along the way as we date with a purpose. And I thank you so much for watching.